Alright, what is going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the MGC series. This is the Perfect Overlander series. You guys know I've just started this series out as we go through my Land Cruiser Cygnus, which is to me just the finest SUV. I love this thing. You know, it's just my luxury vehicle, and I have got the 80 series, which is an off-road monster. But you know, the Cygnus is always for me the car my go-to when I just want a quiet time, when I want peace, when I want to go somewhere just in comfort. I just want to block out the outside world. I want to get in my car and just be in silence. And you know, you guys know the Cygnus does this so well. I've talked about this before with the sound insulation and everything to do with that. And you know, everything that just comes together to make this vehicle just a classic luxurious vehicle. You know, that sort of classic luxury, the way they used to actually do luxury back in the day, guys. And you guys have got to remember that luxury has changed over time. You know, it depends how you define your own luxury. But back in the day, luxury meant more buttons, more dials. You know, if you guys go back to the W140, the Mercedes-Benz, when it came out, known as the Cathedral, you know, it had all these buttons and knobs everywhere, and you know, it looked like a pilot's sort of cockpit. And that's what luxury meant at the time. You know, luxury back in the day meant offering you more options. It meant offering you the cigarette lighter. It meant offering you leather in the vehicle. And that seems to have all changed, guys. Suddenly luxury means electronics. Suddenly luxury means more screens. Luxury means LED lights inside the vehicle. Luxury means more electrics. Luxury means being able to control your phone, your car from your phone, and all that sort of nonsense. So when we come back to Cygnus, it's like a good old reset back to what luxury should be. You're welcomed with the delicious smell of the leather, and I mean literally. I just had a LX570 pass us, but you know, you're greeted with that smell of leather, and the whole experience really just comes together as ultimate luxury, and it's fantastic. So anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Today's episode, we are actually tackling the cost of ownership of this kind of vehicle. So you guys are probably wondering, many of you are wondering, you know, how much does it actually cost to own a Land Cruiser in Nairobi? First of all, how much does it cost maybe to purchase these kind of cars? So why don't we look at the market a bit, since you guys know this is the Perfect Overlander series. Everything with the Perfect Overlander series is more personal, more of me, you know, talking to you guys one-to-one. It's fun, it's engaging, and you know, I love to hear from you guys as well. And maybe some of you will watch these videos and just maybe gain a lot of information on the Land Cruiser or the Cygnus, and you know, end up being one of your purchases. So what's the market like for Land Cruisers right now, guys? Well, 100 series, they vary a lot here in Nairobi, Kenya. Now, for the viewers of mine that are joining from the US or Australia, or you know, the bunch of other countries that watch my videos, here in Kenya, it's sort of like Australia. We have, you know, very high duties. So basically, if a Land Cruiser is brand new in the US at about $100,000, which is usually what brand new Land Cruisers in the US cost, by the time you ship it to Nairobi, and by the time you have the duties and the taxes paid, you'll basically be paying double for that vehicle. So it's quite simple. If we take a $100,000 Land Cruiser, landed here in Nairobi, brand new, probably $200,000. So that's just the duty structure for you to get an idea of how things cost. Now obviously, I ain't buying no brand new Land Cruiser, so we're talking about the used market. Now in the used market, the Land Cruisers, they really vary, guys. You know, if it's first year models, we're talking about the 1999 Land Cruiser, the 2000 model. Those are called the first year models. First year models don't generally hold their value very well, typically because this is a new generation that a brand is introducing, and it's a first generation, it's a first year. You guys know Land Cruisers like each series, 100 series, 200 series, 80 series, each series runs for about 12 years. You know, the Land Cruiser 100 series went from 1998, I believe, to 2007. 2008 came the Land Cruiser 200 series, which ran all the way to 2021. 2022 came the 300 series. So the generations last a long time, guys, but between the generations, Toyota does do a lot of changes that make the vehicles better. They learn, they use their Kaizen techniques, they see what parts are wearing, and so often as the years go on, several part numbers will be updated to the right part. In case one had a early failure, those parts will be adjusted, and new parts that will last the test of time are made. And so I typically like getting later generation Land Cruisers if I can help it. Like with this Cygnus, the last model year of Land Cruiser 100 series was 2007, and that's what this Cygnus is, 2007. And so I like to take a final year production model of a certain series of Land Cruiser, because that just tells me that they've ironed out all the kinks and all the sort of things that could go wrong. This Cygnus is the best of a generation. It's what Toyota is symbolic of, the best of the 100 series. And the Cygnus, of course, is just in Japan basically what in the US they have the LX470. It's your luxury Land Cruiser. Now, what's the cost of ownership of these kind of vehicles is what we want to go over in this kind of thing. So first of all, where's the market with Land Cruiser 100 series? 1999 models and early models, I believe the petrol ones, you could probably get around 2.5 million shillings, which is still not cheap, probably about $17,000, $18,000. But the 2007 models, the later year, the final years of the 100 series, I'd say you can get up to $30,000. Now, the dollar is constantly fluctuating, but at the time, I would say right now, 4 million shillings or 3.6 million for a 2007 final year Land Cruiser. But then again, guys, it always depends. So always remember that, you may believe you can fetch a certain value for a vehicle, but it all depends on a willing buyer and a willing seller. And I am a big believer in clean vehicles. If your vehicle is clean, the next buyer will be able to tell. I can easily tell if a vehicle has been pampered, if a vehicle has been taken care of. And I'm not necessarily saying I only buy vehicles that I see are looking just stunning, pristine. Not necessarily. I'll buy a vehicle that looks maybe a bit dirty on the interior, but I know I can take care of it, but I know the vehicle has been taken care of. It's just that, maybe it has a bit of dust, or, not all people clean their vehicles a lot. But I enjoy cleaning my vehicle a lot. Sorry, that's just another interesting bump. But I enjoy my vehicles to be super clean. So after I get my vehicles, I wash them down, I leather clean it myself if it has leather. And I enjoy that kind of maintenance. It gives me peace of mind. It's really what I enjoy. And so since we've gone over the market of the 100 series, what's the cost of ownership of this kind of vehicle? What can you expect to pay per year with these kind of vehicles? Now, I'm going through a dust storm right now. I don't know why, what just happened. Sometimes we just have dust on our roads and just kick it up from absolutely nowhere. But anyways, cost of ownership, I'd basically say with these kind of vehicles, you're basically going with oil filters and air filters every 15,000 kilometers. The good thing with the petrols, the 2UZ FE, you only need 8 liters of oil. So you're buying 2 4-liter oils and you're okay for every oil service. With the diesel, I believe it takes about 8.7 or maybe 9.2 liters of oil. And so that's why when you go to a diesel, the services will be more expensive because you are also using more oil. So the cost of ownership with the petrols, you can take 8 liters of oil at maybe $50 for the price, 5W30, and then you can take the oil filter at maybe $5, $8, and the air filter at another $15 maybe, or $20, $25. So you're probably looking at, I'd say every service costs me about $100. And the best thing with the Land Cruisers and these 2UZ the V8 petrols, is that they are very strong engines, and they're not very fussy, you know. They take a wide variety of oils, but if you can afford and if you can use 5W30, it's going to be the best thing for you. There's no doubt about that. So moving from there then, guys, you take your services at about $100, and it's a clean engine. You're using petrol, the vehicle loves it. It's a clean engine, so you're not necessarily taking out soot from the exhaust, and you're not having a lot of, you know, sludge or carbon buildup as you would with you know, another car. And so it really works out well, and that's why I like the petrols. I find it easy to maintain. So if you take $100 per service, now I don't drive particularly too many kilometers. Let's just take an average of 10,000 kilometers a year. That simply means only 2 oil services if you're really pushing it, guys. But yes, I like to follow the rule of thumb that is, either you change your oil every 8,000 kilometers, or you change your oil every 6 months, whichever comes first. Now I know a lot of people, they don't drive a lot, and so you just say, oh, I'm not hit 10,000 kilometers, but it's been 2.5 years. If you've done that, you made a mistake, because that's going to mess your car up, no doubt about it. Oil is the lifeblood. It's like, you know, having blood in the human system, and that blood starts getting contaminated. You're going to go into sepsis and poison your body and most likely die. So I take vehicles in the same way, you know. If I can keep good clean oil circulating in my engine, I believe the engine's going to be happy. It sounds good. I can tell when an engine has old oil, because the sound changes, and a lot of people miss this, or they don't pay attention to it, and you keep delaying your oil services, and you keep putting the wrong oils or dirty oils or not synthetic oils, and over time you'll end up with a very loud engine, because you'll be building up sludge and dirt in there, and it won't sound as smooth and clean as day one. I can guarantee you that. So we're talking about cost of ownership. We're talking about $100 per service. Maybe in a year you're doing 2 services. Then we're talking about fuel. Now 10,000 kilometers, maybe we take an average of 5 kilometers a liter if you're mainly driving in the city. But honestly, if we take a combined average, I would take it at about 6. If you're going on highways, long journeys, and, you know, take an average of 6 kilometers a liter. So 10,000 kilometers in a year, you're getting an average of 6 kilometers a liter. We can do the math and see, you guys can do the math and see how much consumption on petrol that is per year. I'd take it as probably 150 to 200,000 shillings a year on petrol. A rough average of 15,000 to 20,000 shillings a month on petrol. And I don't know if that's unreasonable, but I have driven a Mark X. I had a Mark X. I've driven Toyota IST. I've driven a Harrier, RAV4. I've driven a lot of vehicles. And I can tell you one thing, and that's definitely that for what the Cygnus offers you, for what this Land Cruiser offers you, how I'm sitting here in absolute comfort and peace, absolute luxury, silence, sound insulation, Mark & Levinson sound system, supple real leather, wood trim, V8 engine. I get all these things, and I get maybe 2-3 kilometers per liter worse fuel economy than a Toyota Harrier, Vanguard, or a RAV4. Is that particularly unreasonable? Not relatively, when you look at other vehicles. The truth of the matter is, guys, unless you're driving a hatchback or something like a Suzuki Alto that's going to give you crazy good fuel economy, like 15 to 20 kilometers a liter, unless you're driving those small cars, the bigger vehicles are going to consume more. It's just simple truth. And a lot of you think, okay, how do you run a 2UZ petrol Land Cruiser? Why not get the diesel? Okay, guys, 100 series for the diesel, they had the 1HD FTE. Fantastic engine. You know, it's V8 engine, performs amazing, but it's not light on fuel, guys. The 1HD FTE, a lot of owners will report that they get like 7 or 8 kilometers per liter on average. Not particularly good fuel economy compared to the petrol. And on long distances, I promise you, the petrols will always amaze you, because if you're going long distances where you're able to maintain speeds of 80, 100 kilometers an hour, the petrol will breathe better, and the petrol will give up to 10 kilometers a liter. I have seen that on very straight roads where you tether the acceleration. If you're in the higher rev ranges, the petrol is happy. The only part where we get really hit with the petrol cost of ownership is when we are doing mainly city driving, guys. When we are mainly in, you know, stop start city kind of hot conditions, the petrol doesn't like it. You know, the big V8 rumbling in traffic is going to consume, and that's just the simple truth. But for what these vehicles give you guys, I've always said, you know, the benefits outweigh everything else. And we hope in the future petrol and everything prices calm down, but I've still not met another vehicle that gives me the luxury, the comfort, and the peace that this car gives me. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's been yet again another episode of the Perfect Overlander series. This episode touching on some of the cost of ownership of this. And by no means will I be able to cover everything in this episode. So be sure to subscribe and follow along, guys, as in subsequent episodes I will go over the rest of the details of cost of ownership, and we'll be able to really, you know, round up this vehicle. So if one of you is looking into a Land Cruiser or 100 series, I believe this Perfect Overlander series will have everything you need to make an informed decision. And for me, it's just a hobby. I love filming and I love keeping track of my vehicles and watching back on those videos and seeing the progression. So for me, this is something I just enjoy, and that's about it. So anyways, if you guys like the videos, make sure you hit like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think, and I will catch you in the next episode. It's been Masai Gaines checking out.